Hey everybody, it's your girl Emeara here. We got a new face today, named Patrick. Been doing some great things here at Story Stitchers and also outside of Story Stitchers. Have you here with us today? How are you?
I'm pretty good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Kind of introduce yourself, to the people. I already told them your name's Patrick, but they probably want to know what you do, like who you really are. So,
Cool.
yeah,
Yes,
tell us something.
I'm a 22-year-old designer here in St. Louis. Um, a lot of people may know me by a company that I've international. It consists of about 3 or 4 sub-companies. Number one is La Marca de Uva. La Marca de Uva is our fashion department. So far, we've gotten a lot of buzz in St. Louis over our garments. We've done a fashion show with I would say it was at least 200 people at Harris Stowe this past winter.
That's dope.
Nationally and within the United States. We started in 2015 and continue to strive when it comes to financial literacy and bringing the dollars back into our communities, whether it's with business, clothing, art, sound, and real estate.
Yo, that's really dope. And actually, before I knew of your brand, which is cool to me. Yeah, and I heard about it from I think somebody who was actually in Story Stitchers. So that's cool. Let you know that they
Working.
yeah, you're working, you're getting out there, you're getting it done. So I want to know, because you sound like a busy guy, like you have a lot. How did you even hear about Story Stitchers?
I first heard about Story Stitchers when I think I was either leaving, high school, and that summer, I think it was with like youth jobs or something. It was just a third party that allowed there to be a summer intern, and one of them was Story Stitchers, and I wanted to be involved with you all, but I wasn't able to because I had to. What's up? Hold on. Bro, I'm on a lot. It's cool. It's cool. If you want to sit here real quick, yeah. Hold on. All right, my bad. I got my homie here, Shauna.
How you doing? What's up, homie?
Yeah, but so I found Story Stitchers through that, but I wasn't able to because I had to take care of some other stuff. But since then, I had seen you guys' presence on social media, and ultimately through I believe it was a newsletter or a letter that was sent to me about the podcast that we did.
Oh, dope! So you got one of the postcards.
I got one
in
of
the
those
mail.
too.
So that's dope.
I already knew you all, but then that was kind of that was more inviting, hey, we're targeting you. And I was I'm responding to the call to action.
That's dope. That's dope. So you say you got it for the podcast, and then you actually ended up being in a podcast. So kind of tell me, how was that experience? Or what?
I knew that I was going to be around a group of collectives who already have an established relationship with each other. But when it came to me coming on, all I ever want to do is provide value. So when it came to speaking to you all, and when it came to the current topics, I mean, I was already in a position to be able, but I didn't have that opportunity at the moment because I had been solo and then the quarantine and everything. So really, I was just like, it's a perfect time to, you know, share what I know, take in each person's perspective that's in Story Stitchers, and ultimately, you know, us putting it into a podcast and giving it to the world.
That's dope. And I heard you talk about quarantine. So would you kind of say that did the podcast at all kind of help you get through the quarantine? You know, like how did you, and even outside of Story Stitchers, how did you kind of cope with that whole thing going on?
Yeah, so crazy thing with quarantine, I was, before it happened, it happened around like March, like the beginning of March. Been working at a property management company for about 7 months prior. So right when quarantine happened, I had also made a decision that, okay, I've gotten as much information, as much training as I needed at this firm, but I just had to make the executive decision to eliminate my time going towards that it with you know, UVA and all the other ventures that I had. But right when coronavirus hit, it was like kind of like divine timing, where I had took a leap of faith, because, you know, leaving a stable job like that to now just, you know, getting it from the mud with my endeavors, it was a real test of will and patience. So I had been putting that time towards creating new designs, or really getting to understand who I am and who are we as the company, in order to you know, have more impact on the world. And that's mainly what my time had gone to, was UVA, and then eventually self-reflecting, because there had been, at home, day to day, just realizing, okay, there are certain things that aren't working and certain things that are working. So let's tap in and see why these certain things aren't working right now. So from there, with all that, I started to read books, educate myself, because there was all this free time on how to develop the company and how to get started in real estate. On top of that, having you all there, I had something to keep me accountable from Friday to Friday, knowing that I would be practicing my verbal communication with you all.
That's dope. That's dope. I like the way you put that. And do I see like your logo on your shirt there, your brand?
This one was one of the first ones that I made, because I had just gotten content designer in California, and we wanted to make a new design. So this one isn't printed correctly, but it just has a new feel to it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to say thank you too for being a part of the podcast. Some of you all I think we've already put it out, actually. So some people on here may have already heard your voice a few times before. So yeah, that was a great story, and I love how you said, you know, you started educating yourself. Like you didn't waste the time that we were given, you know, like that. It was like a divine appointment where everybody just kind of got to stay home and like soul search, you know, like be like, okay, what do I need to do right now in this moment? So yeah, I love how you said that and how you brought that up. I will ask, since you already been, and I know there may be some youth, young adults on here who may, you know, be kind of wondering, like, should they join a podcast, or somebody already might have signed up for the podcast. What would be your advice to those young people?
The advice I would give to them would be to speak freely, but at the same time be conscious of how others' perspective. You always have to speak your mind, but you always want to be conscious of how other people view things, because if there is a conflict in perspective, rather than antagonizing a person, I think the best thing is to get an understanding of the other side, or having a common mutual understanding, or touched on a lot of personal topics. And maybe sometimes people don't have an outlet to speak on these things. So I feel like for anybody looking to, join a podcast or produce their own podcast, just use that as a way to just really put your heart, document it. And I mean, I'm sure a whole lot of people will relate.
Yeah, definitely. Man, that was good. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I love how you said, like, document your heart. that's a new one for me, but I like it. So I think I want to kind of ask you too, this would be one of the fun questions I kind of wrap up with. Because I heard you earlier talk about how, you spent the time and days of planning and for UVA. So kind of take me through the process of, how does that look for you, like designing something new? Like what is your process?
Yeah, so I can break it down from the first release, because I don't have that much out. Because only me right now, I haven't been able to produce like thousands at a time. And I so many people who are like within 15 years old to about 20 years old or older reaching out to me about how to create a brand or something significant that can create a product. And when I initially started, I didn't really have a goal. So that's number one. You always have to go into something with a goal in mind, wasting your money or wasting your time. But at the same time, it could also be a lesson. So for the first drop, I had a regular white shirt, but I was I'm very particular on detail. So I knew that I didn't want a certain finish. I wanted an embroidery finish. That came out. It sold out pretty soon for the first release, and then the second release was a restock. That second release, this goes into marketing. That second release, I study people's behavior. So if I know people are going to respond to this, I need to pour more time and attention and dollars into things that people, respond to in order to convert people and have a client. So the major thing that started all this was when I gave a free sample to Smino, and eventually Smino and his story. So for a brand to have somebody who's, bubbling or has high profile, that's a great way to market. And giving it for free, that's just me providing value. So from there, I knew that that shirt had gotten me a lot, but like I said earlier, I didn't have a goal for it. I didn't have a foundation period for the brand. So here I was with idea that had some attention but no foundation. So as time went on, I noticed that attention started to decline, because I wasn't even sure what I was selling or who I was. So that goes into the designing aspect. From there, we have to understand what is our objective? What is the thesis to this entire thing, this entire operation? Then goes into knowing who you are. And then once you know who you are, why does this product exist? Or what is the significance of this current piece? So that's what goes into knowing what the next drop is. If I know I'm feeling right now that I want to have an image or an idea of our brand being found thousands of years ago, so that's what this most recent release of Care Package was. The looks look as if this had been found 100 years or 1,000 years from now. But if somebody were to have found it, then what was the message that I was leaving, that I was speaking out so loud right now for somebody to see it thousands of years from now? And that's what it looks like. It looks very of a time of the past. So that's what goes into each new concept. What are we trying to say, and how are we going to execute it, or execute it visually? And is that at the right price range for the customers that we do have? That's like the whole thing. Like that's the origin until present day, like us talking right now.
Yeah, that's dope. You just kind of dropped some dimes.
I get long-winded when I'm passionate about it.
Hey, it's all good. I think the people are appreciating this, you know. So I guess I'll ask one last question too, since I say you're dropping dimes. You know, what's something when you were maybe like 17 you wish you would have known that you know now? Like, or 17-year-old right now who's trying to start something new, like a business, or trying to start their music career or something like that. What would you say to a young person that's in that stage?
One would be to not listen to the norms that are around you. I initially started off making music, and I knew that what was hot was, you know, pretty much the same, but just my voice instead of it's my own production, my own voice, and my own content. But right now, I feel like for the youth, it would be, I know this is what's hot, so let me try to fit into this. But it turns out that you don't fit into what you want because you're not being yourself. So when you try to be or try to do something that isn't like coming naturally from you. So at 17, I knew it. And well, I didn't know it, but I felt it, but I still acted on it because I was trying to be like everybody else. But then eventually, what really started to differentiate myself from others was my vulnerability. Us talking about, you know, yeah, I'm not rich, I'm not this, I'm not that, but I have this to say, and I'm going through this. Sure, somebody who listens to this will resonate with them, and if it resonates, then it sticks with them, so they'll be more likely to play it 6 or 12 months later, and that adds up on your streams, that adds up on how much revenue you generate. So that's one. And then two, like starting a business compared to wanting to be popular is a big difference, because you can be popular but not have any money coming in, or you can be a sufficient business but not be popular. So that means if I know it's not popular to read a book, but the book is telling me how to make 100 racks a year, I'll read the book all day even though nobody's watching. Or I'll practice learning about these certain, you know, strategies, rather than me just being cool and it's just surface level tactics, when I know me being able to study what it is to know what different tax brackets are, or how, like you said, start an LLC. There needs to be that awareness of legalities if you're going to play the game, because I don't want to have to have my money in a shoebox. If I know how to make my money and place it in these places so that they make more money, then I would definitely do that more than try to be popular.
Yeah.
That's what I would tell my 17-year-old self. Yeah,
that's dope. Thank you for sharing, man. Like, very wise. Definitely. Yeah, thank you again, Patrick, for, talking with us today. Really enjoyed it. And if you all enjoyed hearing Patrick, make sure you go to storystitchers.org to listen to the podcast, or you can find us on Podbean too. Or if you want to just keep up with Story Stitchers in general, make sure you head over to storystitchers.org. We just thank you all for being a part, listening tonight, and I hope you all stay safe and have a good day.
Love.
Sure. Hey, thanks again, Patrick. That was great.
Yeah.
Come stop and my block, where you see hidden potential, young minds sharper than pencil, and ain't afraid to speak their mind if they got something against you. We standing with you, we tackle issues like civic pride. Hate will cease to exist, let's put our differences aside. From my side to your side, from Dutchtown to South Side, from Penrose to North Side, from Benton Park to Old North to West End to West Side. We blessed when we step out, we stand down, rise up, stand together, wise up.
What would you want to know about gun violence in St. Louis?
That it's real.
This is StitchCast Studio, produced by St. Louis Story Stitchers in St. Louis, Missouri. To learn more, visit storystitchers.org.
They say who that, but you already knew that. That be them story stitches, story stitches, story stitches, story stitches, story stitches.